What's up, otakus? It's your tour guide here. Um, yeah, I've got some good news. Okay. Um, I've I'm hired. I got hired for the part time position. I went in for a second interview today. Went into downtown Seattle, and they basically, you know, told me that the I had the position. I'd get some information on about onboarding soon, and yeah, um, they didn't really. I think I have to go through some training, and maybe during those sessions, I'll probably sign some paperwork and get more details, and then after that onboarding, I'll get a start date. So, um, but either way, I expect to start within the next couple of weeks. And it's really, I like I actually like the job. Without getting too much into the details about what it is. Um, it's it pays like Seattle rates of, like, it's better. The rates are a little above like the minimum. Hey, Miss O, what's up? Thank you. The rates are a little bit above, like, what Seattle minimum wages, and Seattle minimum wage is actually really, really good. So that's comforting. And again, the position's something I think it's not something that's too exertive or like difficult. Um, it just requires me to be really present, and it is like a customer facing role, so I have to put on my best, um, like, service uh, cap. Um, but that's that most of the positions are kind of require you to do that anyway. So I think it's a good fit. It's the position I was hoping to get, and it is a bit of a commute. I have to commute into the city, but you know, taking the bus in, it should be rather like straightforward. So glad that that's kind of taken care of. But now that I have the position, my wife and I are kind of going over the calculations, and I know I was a bit exuberant about, or I guess not exuberant, but a little over overzealous about what I'd be making. Um, I think I calculated in my head somewhere around $4,000 I'd be making, um, and then minus what I'd be giving to my wife and taxes. I had assumed uh, I would have close to 3,500 or 30,000 for that budget. But we did an actual calculation. We actually counted the days I'd be working and calculated the hours, and then calculated the tax, and again what I'm going to give to my wife. Turns out it's a lot less. Also, I'm paying for, because I have to commute into the city by bus. We're also calculating bus fare, which is rather significant. I think it's like $7 round trip for the bus fare. So, minus that from whatever I'm making. So it's turns out I'm so rather than anticipating 3,500, it's closer to 2,000, which isn't bad. It isn't bad, but it is significantly less than what I was like had kind of like working with in my head. Yeah, yeah. The commute, it's going to add some additional time, but again, that the bus fares, it's going to subtract from that. So my wife's really good at all the sort of the she brought me down to reality. She's like, look, this is it, how much you're actually going to make. And so I didn't want to, like, again, I'm going to, part of that is going to, her, and the rest of it I get to keep, luckily. But again, when we did all the calculations, rather than have like close to 4,000 that I thought I would have, it's actually closer to 2,000. Well, I do still get to keep the 400 I have for the summer. That budget's still there. So it's like 2,400 that I have to spend this summer on comics, which again, you know, um, it's not, it's still enough to do everything I want to do this summer. It's just, I think it limits in terms of what we can pick up. Cause like it's $1,500 less than I think what I said in my previous video and when I was like kind of budgeting out for all this stuff. So it's a lot less, but at the same time, you know, I kind of have that a real solid working amount. And anyway, um, I want to give a quick shout out to Chop and Drop. So Chop and Drop, he's a great supporter of the community, great community member. His oldest is going to college. Congratulations to her. And Chop is trying to kind of liquidate some of his collection to help pay for her tuition. So go to his page, check out what I mean. He hasn't uploaded everything yet, but he's slowly like kind of putting up books and Funkos and different collectibles that he's putting up for sale. And please go check out his site, see what he has, and support him. Get some stuff. I've already got a book, and I'll reveal what that book is when it arrives. But again, I told him, hey, I can't pay you till the 1st of June, which is when I'm gonna actually get the $400. And then of course, as the paychecks come in, that budget's gonna grow. But I get $400 the 1st of June. So I've already got sort of these hold deals. I couldn't help myself. I got a really good I'm getting some books from Destiny City Comics. Shout out to Ethan at Destiny City Comics too. Go check out his Instagram page. He's actually don't go check out his Instagram page because there's a couple of items I want to actually pick up, but I've been like um, forcing myself not to look at whatever comes out on his page because he's got really great prices. I mean, he prices things out rather. I mean, they're not cheap by any means, but they're priced fairly, meaning they're always underpriced uh, based on whatever, and he's grading and applying that price. So that's why I'm saying it's fair. He's like considering grade and everything, and then kind of knocking down the price a little bit from that. So you're always getting a deal at Disney City Comics. So go check out. Hey, K-pop, what's up? Um, yeah, so I just thought, you know, uh, again, I'm not disappointed. I still will have about $2,400 to spend this summer on comics, but I definitely want to reserve 1,000 of that for Rose City Comic Con. And in fact, I'm probably going to pick up my tickets next month. Now that we have $400 in the budget, I'm going to get a few books that I've kind of put on hold. Again, I have some books on hold with Ethan at Disney City Comics. Gonna pick those up. Uh, I have Choppin', a book I got from Chop today, which I'll pay again 1st of June. That'll be coming um, next month. And you know, already I feel like I've spent. I'm not quite at 100 yet, but I'm like in the $70 range already in terms of like what I've put on hold and is going out. So I'm already like kind of $70 deep starting June. That's not a good start. Um, $70 into a $2,400 budget. I don't know. Maybe it is. Maybe it isn't. I do know the the books I'm getting from Disney City Comics. It completes a run for me. So stay tuned for that. It completes the run, not only completes the run, but it completes the run in a way that I wanted to complete the run. So I'm very happy about that. But at the same time, I do want to pace myself. I don't want to end up going to Rose City. How was that? How was Motor City? I didn't get to see any of your. I did see a group photo of yours, but I didn't get to see anything outside of that. Um, who'd you meet? What'd you do? Oh, nice. Thank you. Oh, John's gonna do your show. That's awesome. That's awesome. Nice. Yeah, John Jang is another one of those guys, just so talented, and would have been nice. Hopefully, he can come on next year. So, thank you for doing that, and be sure to pop in when he's on your channel. Yeah, yeah, he looks like a super nice guy. So glad that glad you got to kind of hang out with him. Um, I guess the big highlight was there like some kind of big. Did you get something, a big book or anything? You just probably got to hang out with a bunch of cool people, right? Uh huh. All right. Cool. That's always good. Oh, how was that? I'm looking forward to meeting Mr. Bisley at Rose City. So I'm preparing some books for that as well. How was that? That must have been cool to hang out with him. Awesome. Well, glad you had a great time. I wish I could have, you know, been there as well. It's always fun to see. Um, I think all the community members should really kind of for that for me that's fun. Like to see um, whether you're just there to uh, look for comic books or if you're there to engage with different artists or just other community members, just kind of getting some kind of you know like it'd be good to just see a video on, I remember we just had Simon on, right? And Simon went to one of these like toy comic shows in Australia, and I really enjoyed. I mean, he just was like kind of randomly going to different like comic book shops and stuff, and that's fun too. But I think what's really cool is when you guys go to like cons, and whether you're hanging out with other people or whatever, just highlighting what you did that day. That for me is like always great to just immerse myself in, and it feels like I'm there. So yeah, wow, wow. This is so. Wait, Simon Bisley's coming on your channel? Did he agree to come on your channel? Ooh, oh man, that would be awesome. That would be so awesome. Well, good luck. I mean, man, yeah, that'd be awesome if you got him on. Because I mean, that's like me interviewing like Jim Lee for you, right? Because that's like, he's like one of your favorite artists, right? If not your favorite artist of our time, if I'm not mistaken. So that's kind of like the equivalent of me, getting Jim Lee to come on our show, which would be an impossibility. But we dream, right? We dream big. But at least you got to like kind of talk to him and hang out with him. That's kind of cool. Like I had to pay Jim Lee to pretend to want to hang out with me. I had to pay to have him sign books and stuff, and but it's all good. Oh yeah. So for those of you who listen to NPR, okay, for those of you NPR listeners, Jim Lee was on NPR this evening. Um, I was driving into my job interview, and this was around 4 p.m. And again, NPR interviewed Jim Lee on his new, role as president of DC. And that I mean, when do you ever hear like reports about like comic book executives? And like on NPR, you just never hear that, right? But Jim Lee was just this long, like I want to say like 15, 10-minute interview. No, maybe it wasn't that long. Maybe it's like 10 minutes. It was like a 10-minute report interview with Jim Lee, and I was absolutely just glued to the radio listening to this interview, and what's that? But anyway, it was kind of cool to hear Jim Lee on NPR, and and this is the thing, like normally in like comic book interviews and stuff, he kind of takes a different tone to the interview. Like it's light, he's joking around, and he's. But this NPR interview, man, he had his like corporate executive hat on, and it was he was given like serious answers. But it was cool. He was just talking about like how DC, the challenge of bringing like DC legacy characters and making them relevant to today's audience, to today's mass audience, and how no matter what kind of anytime you tinker with content, the audience is so there's such a spectrum of political views, identities, agendas on social media that you can't please everybody. And he said like having to navigate uh, that kind of criticism on social media and all that, it's been challenging. So, but he remains focused on putting the best stories, the best just focusing on the publishing side of doing what DC's done best, for the past, uh, what is it? I mean, almost like 80 some years, 90 years, right? Just continuing to do what they do best, which is tell the stories of uh, their storied history. So, and that includes adding new narratives, new characters, adding more diversity. That is something that he definitely hit upon, like creating more diverse stories, a diverse set of characters, and so that was really cool to hear. And then it just made me think, man, if he's on NPR, he's never coming on my show. He's never coming on uh, meet the meet the artist. All right, you guys chat and get friendly. So this video is I just came up with it in my head, and I thought it would be a fun video to do because um, it's I don't really see too many people, kind of put this kind of video out, and maybe it'll spark some of you to show off your books as well. But I gotta admit, like uh, some of my most favorite books in the collection are low grade books. And what do I mean by low grade? I actually I have not seen the trailer for The Creator. I will check that out. Oh, one was 40. So, did he charge for signatures though? Because I'm gonna get a book signed by him at Rose City Comic Con. And I don't mind paying if he's charging, but I just don't want to pay like something exorbitant. Like under 20 is okay, but if it's over 20, I probably can't get a book signed then. Yeah, I agree. Low grade needs to get a little bit more respect. And in terms of pricing, like I that I look, if I could get a high grade book in my collection and have them all be high grade, that'd be great. But people are limited in terms of the resources and access and all these things. I don't want to pay $20 just for shipping a slab to get it, right? Like a graded slab copy of a big book, and paying whatever that high grade book would cost. I don't want to. I don't even want to think. I'm not even in the market for that. Um, so for me, I never shop for slabs. I never like say, oh, I'm gonna go out and look for a 9.8 slabbed book. If you do that, that's fine. That obviously means you have more, you know, a bigger budget than I do to spend on comics, because that's a big lift to just like get 9.8, you know, versions of key books. I wish I could do that. I just don't. For me, uh, again, picking up books on the cheap, it's almost a requirement that you have to uh, have them, mid to low grade for the most part, especially the older books, right? The older books, you're not going to get high. I mean, if you're looking for high grade, like Bronze Age books, prepare to shell out some money. So for me, it's not about like necessarily, I mean, if I can get them rather cheaper than like book on, and it's a book I really want, we may go ahead and like spend the money there. But for the most part, that kind of investment, it takes a lot of, like, you're making a very proactive decision to go after something like that. Whereas if you're digging through and picking up books that are lower grade but still significant to you, that for me is kind of where I am with this video. So, yeah, I think low grade is just a great way to be able to collect what you want. And so, you know, what do I mean by low grade? So that let's kind of lay out the scale. So we know we have a 10-point grading scale, divided along, you know, uh, basically 0.5 increments, right? So that's 20 grades right there. So in the 9 grades, we got 9. You can go, let's just assume it's 9, 9, 2, 9, 4, 6. So 9, 4, and 6 are probably 1 grade, and then 9, 8. That's 4 grades right there across the 9 spectrum. Sorry. Yeah, 4 grades across the 9 spectrum. That would bring you to 9, 9, 2, 9, 4, 9, 6. Sorry, 9, 8. So that's 5 grades across the 9 spectrum. That would bring you to 21 grades. Okay, 21. And then you divide 21 by the 3 grades, like low grade, mid grade, high grade. And when you do that, you come up with a scale. So basically, 0 to 3.5 is what I would say is low grade. 4 to 7.0 is mid grade. And then 7.5 and above is high grade. And then you get kind of stratified as you get into the 9s. 9s become kind of their own level of grading. But again, that's the way I analyze whether a book is high grade or low grade, because this Superman 4.0 to me is not a low grade book. It's a mid grade book. And that's kind of, especially for the older books, I don't think I would ever actively try to get something that I knew was kind of low grade. I wouldn't want to send that in unless it's a really like rare book, or I just prefer to have it raw. If it's low grade, I just prefer to have it raw and in my collection. Whereas like something like I take it as more like if you want to preserve it so that's protected and kind of displayed and presented well. That's, I think, you'd reserve that whole process for something in the higher grades. And that's just the way I look at it. So all these books here are low grade, meaning they're going to be 3.5 or below. And I'll kind of go over what I think the grades are. But some of these are not like PC books. I mean, most of them are PC books. Most of them are books that are going to stay in the collection. But some of these books, I could like sell them or trade for them, or I'm not attached to some of these books. They're just in the collection, and I'm showing them off because they are in the collection in low grade. But again, they're not necessarily like books that I'm like that I need to have in the collection that are like true PC books in that sense. And we're starting off with that. And this is not a book. It's not a true PC book. I think it's a great book, and I think having it in low grade is still pretty cool. But if someone wants this book or wants to trade for it, I am down. And that is SpiderMan, Amazing Spider-Man 149. This is the first appearance of Ben Reilly, who's the Spider clone. And this is, I mean, even without this fading here, let's just say this fading wasn't here and it was actually just a clean copy, it would be a low grade book. It'd be it would be about a 3 or 3.5. Yeah, about a 3. But it has this horrible, and I think I mentioned this on a previous video, but 2,700 is my limit for the summer. No, it's about closer to 2,400 is the limit, which is a little bit of a downer, a little bit, but not too much. I am looking forward to working and just building that, building toward the goal. And the fact that I'll be working will also limit how, because if I wasn't working and I had $400 in my pocket, I'd be at comic book shops every weekend, right? And you do that and you're going to run out of money quick. So the fact that I'm staying busy and I'm sure I'll hit a comic book shop here and there because I'll probably have a little bit of time to do that. But for the most part, it's gonna keep me so busy where really what I'm earning is kind of going into just an account. It's gonna sit in there, and hopefully, again, by the time Rose City Comic Con comes around, I anticipate most of that money will be available. I'm not going to try to buy too much online. I'm going to buy, if I buy anything, it's going to be through local shows or local shops. Yeah, I'm going to try to limit the online buying mostly for shows. Yeah. Hopefully if I can take $2,400, all of it to Rose City Comic Con, that is a win in my opinion. It's a win. I just know I won't be able to have that kind of self control. Maybe I will. Maybe you guys can motivate me to do that. All right, so this grade is definitely I want to say it's a 0.5, right? it definitely is complete. It's got the cover and everything. It's just got this like horrible fading on there. It's got creases. The spine is all whacked out. I mean, I've seen worse grades than this, but again, it looks like somebody like poured something on here and then erased it. Like maybe somebody, I don't know. It just looked like somebody washed it with like some kind of chemical, like a fading agent or something. I don't know. It just perplexes me as what it is. It's just faded, and it's like faded in a way that looks like something was poured on it, or like somebody rubbed some kind of like, I don't know. It's just perplexing as it's all get up as what that could be. Anyway, very low grade book, but I think we picked it up for like $1 or something. So I paid the low grade price and didn't mind having it. Again, it's a key book. I did enjoy the Ben Reilly character, the Scarlet Spider, when I was collecting books back in the day. So I know this is before my time, but that character was very prominent in the Spider-Man titles when I was collecting. So pretty cool first appearance to have. All right, this next one is I feel like it could get a 4.0 grade, but in all likelihood it is a 3.5. So it's kind of like the best of the low grade copies that I have. And the reason it would probably be in the 3.5s is just because it has this. I know you can't see it very well. It's not really, like, the color breaks down here, but up here is not so bad. You can't really tell. There's just again, one of those just center creases. The what do you call it? The like the newsstand creases. I and it's a black cover, so all the spine, you can see on the issues there as well. But I mean, other than that, it presents really well for a black cover. I don't know. I think it could be a 3.5. There is some creasing here in the corner as well, but not too. Again, I think it's within the 3.5 limit of what's acceptable. If it weren't for that, and it goes all the way down the middle. So if it were for that crease, this would probably be a mid-grade copy. But because of that crease, it's low grade for sure. But again, good looking low grade. But there's, again, Shazam #3 from the Bronze Age. Really like the cover. Just love it. Okay. Cool. Yeah, subscription crease. Thank you, Nonrad. It's a subscription crease. And I think for me, the subscription creases don't bother me at all. Don't bother me as much. I should say it would bother me, but I'm just saying, like, on the older books, it kind of is like also the some of the date stamps and those kinds of things. Those don't bug me at all either, because it adds the cultural sort of context to what that book is, right? These are the kind of handling that books went through. So it's not Billy's fault that he picked up a book that was already had a subscription crease in it, right? It's like, and he's not like, hey, I want a better look, I want a high grade copy. He's not gonna um, nitpick about that as a kid. He's just gonna bring it home, read it, and so I mean, again, those like date stamps and subscription creases, those don't bother me as much on the older books. I actually don't look that as a negative at all. Um, the negatives are actually just the things that I think beyond that, like the creases, the tears, those bug me. Um, chipping, uh, creases do bother me, but I think just you know a worn spine, like just from reading and stuff, like that won't bug me as much on a reader low grade copy. All right, so this one, I love. First of all, this next book, as many of you know, if you've been following my channel, you know John Romita Sr. is hands down one of my favorite artists of all time. And John Romita Jr.'s first published SpiderMan artwork was on Daredevil. I want to say it's Daredevil 24. Is it 14, 24? Anyway, it's an earlier issue of Daredevil, which I kind of wanted to, again, one of those books that I don't mind paying to get like a low to mid grade copy. So I was kind of like in the market for that, looking and that's a big book. That even low grade copies will cost you like maybe $100 to $150. Something in the mid grade range, definitely over 200, right? So that was like a book I wanted to get. I almost pulled the trigger on it out of like just when you get that, like, oh, that's a book I want, you kind of like just look and think, do I have enough money? All right, let's just. But I didn't do that, and I kind of held out. I was constantly looking on auctions and doing all that, just trying to pick it up for a price I wanted to pick it up. And then lo and behold, I run into not that book, but the reprint of that book, and it was in Daredevil Special number 3, and they reprint the cover, um, the John Romita Sr. art. And for me, this works. I know it's a reprint, it's not the original, but it is that great John Romita art there on the cover. And it's a reprint of the book. It has more of a sort of a Bronze Age, uh, look to the book as well. So I was really happy to pick this up. Now, it's a low grade copy, but I actually, when I picked it up, the corner, so you'll see chipping in the corner, right? You'll see just like a big chunk of the corner missing. That was my fault because the corner was creased to begin with, and I was looking to kind of like keep it. It looked like the corner was going to fall off and whatever, and I was going to try to like put a little bit of tape there to just secure it, but I kind of what I ended up doing was I just ended up ripping the corner off instead of like taping it on. So I mean, it got worse in terms of like the grade. I think with that corner there, it would have qualified as a like a 2.5. Now with the corner gone, it's probably it'd probably be a 2, I would say. Yeah, 2, because I mean the rest of the book isn't horrible looking. It's just that corner there. So that's a pretty major flaw. I just have a little chip of the book out. So it's definitely a 2. Could be lower, but again, the for me the artwork of that's yeah. I mean, if I could get this book in higher grade, I think that's something I could pick up. Um, in fact, in any of these books, if I can get them in higher grade, we could do that. But this one in particular, because I think this is for me just a great reflection of his first work on Spider-Man, which is the book I associate with Romita Sr. I know Romita Sr. has done a lot of other like great comic book art, but it was really that post Ditko Stan Lee work that I think are the best stories um, in the legacy of Spider-Man. The most compelling stories, like as we were moving into the Bronze Age of Spider-Man, the stories became a little bit more um, uh, they just became better. What's the word I'm looking for? Just they were better. It captured the character better um, than the early stuff. All right, so hey, what's up? What's up, Joe? All right, guys. Moving on. This next one, I picked up for like it was. I want to say I picked it up for like $6, which might. I don't know if it was necessarily I overpaid. I don't think I overpaid. It's probably in like $5 to $6 range is fair for this grade. And this grade, I think it would be around a 3, maybe a 2.5 or a 3. I mean, there's a corner crease here and a corner crease there. There's kind of damaged spine. So yeah, I would put this in the 2 because the spine is damaged. I don't know if you can see it. Right. I can't do this. There you go. See the damaged spine there. So yeah, I would put this in the 2.0 range because of the damaged spine. I mean, it presents well. From the front, it doesn't look horrible. And again, it has a date stamp here, which is cool. I love stuff like that. August 9th is actually my sister's birthday, so this was kind of like a birthday reminder for me and my sister. Great. This is just a great Kirby cover of Doctor Doom and Fantastic Four. I forget what the key element of this book was. It was yeah, I forgot. It is key for some reason. I just don't remember why. Maybe it is just because of the Doctor Doom cover. I don't know, but it is a cool cover. Definitely a cool cover. Again, I would say in the 2.0 range, and love it, love it. I mean, if I could pick this up in higher grade, I would. Any of these again, if I can do it in higher grade, I would. But the fact is, this is where what I say about like Unmyeong books. Unmyeong is your destiny and fate. It's like you don't really have a choice when it comes to Unmyeong. It's something, you know. I think the really the how Koreans really contextualize Unmyeong is in um, it really is a reflection of uh, I know it's cheesy, but your life partner, right? Um, Whoever you meet in life and you choose to have that person as your partner in life, um, the love of your life, the partner in life that you want to spend the rest of your life with. That is unmyeong, because oftentimes it's not like you don't plan that out. It's a very um, you know it's a very random process. It's something you have no control over. It's one of those things like you're on a road, they're on a road, and your your paths cross, and that is what sets the chemistry in motion, and that is how I love the one you're with. I Yeah, yes, love always love the one. Um, so you know, same kind of approach to my comic. Now, there are two ways to pick up books, and I've kind of been steering away from Unmyeong books because I have most of my collection is Unmyeong books, meaning like I go hunting and I pick up what I like, and that's that, right? But I'm finding like now that my space is becoming limited, we're being a little bit more selective. I mean, we still are running across things, and we have the option to pick them up or not. And so that option is becoming a little bit more stringent, and I'm trying to put a little bit more predictability in terms of what I pick up, meaning I'm planning and I'm focusing on getting specific books. So really what Umyang becomes in that new sort of uh, parameter is, will we find that book or not? Will it be our destiny, fate, our unmyeong to find that book or not on our next hauls? And then that becomes a little bit harder to mm, have happen. Um, Although it's not impossible, because like, oftentimes you go to these comic book conventions or shows, there's so many books there already, and especially if they're like right now, some of the books I'm wanting to pick up are just across the board favorites of the hobby. So I know they'll be there, and really at that point, it's like just making sure you get it at your price and in the grade that you want it and all that. So that's where it gets a little bit trickier, but it's still an element of unmyeong, right? You're heading into it not knowing what to expect, kind of having an idea in your mind of what you want. And then if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, you continue like searching and looking. It didn't happen for me at, you know, Emerald City Comic Con with the Batman 251, the Neil Adams book that I was so desperately waiting so many months to pick up, that I'd saved the money. Actually, I didn't save. I didn't have enough money to actually um, pick up the higher grade copies. But I did pick up this one, which is Unmyeong in and of itself is kind of like my backup plan, and completely happy with that book. Um, in many ways, as happy as having the Batman 251. So not too big of a loss, but um, it'll be interesting to see what we find this summer. And just having in the back of my mind the books that I know I want to pick up. So, continue moving on. These next two books are, I kind of, well, let's start with this one. Let's start with the book that makes me, well, let's start with the book that, the issue book, the book. Now, I'm not going to call out this seller because, to be honest, the seller wasn't the issue. It was my own, I think, and this is the issue with buying books online. Um, you think you're getting a certain grade at a certain price that you think is really a good deal. But when you actually get the book, you realize, oh, okay, well, it actually is the grade the guy said it was going to be, and then the disappointment sets in. So that's kind of what happened. The guy selling this book online put up pictures, kind of laid out what he thought the grade was, and it was a great price. It was a great price under the assumption it was mid grade. Under the assumption it was a mid grade book, it was a great price, and I was like, wow, okay, I'm gonna pick that up. But once I had the book in hand, I realized this was a low grade book. But luckily, I didn't pay. I kind of paid what, a little higher than what it would be for the low grade book. But had it been the grade I thought it would have been, I would have paid a lot less for that mid grade book. So we were expecting a mid grade, like a really great bargain on a mid grade. But what we ended up doing was we ended up paying maybe a little bit more for the low grade. And really what tipped it over the edge was the shipping. He was charging like, I think, $4 or $5 for shipping. So that's a real cost, right? You got to pay it, but at the same time, that's why I'm trying not to. I don't want money going into shipping that could go into a book. So anyway, we picked up Iron Man 150, great John Romita Jr. cover, and when I saw the pictures and everything, I thought, okay, it looks great. It doesn't look like it has like all that much like spine damage. We were really thinking this was like a mid-grade book, but upon closer inspection, this is the issue on the book right there, the creasing, and it's significant enough to where it would lower this to at least a 3.5. I'm thinking this is like closer to a, well, even with the creasing, I'd say it's a solid 3.5. It's definitely not above that. It's not a 4.0 or anything like that. It's a solid 3.5. It's just got a really ratty corner there that I thought kind of looked better in the photos. spine is, just it's typical of what you'd find in a lower grade book rather than mid grade books. So yeah, I was kind of disappointed with the grade, but loved this book irregardless. We actually did get it for a decent price. I paid 18 plus shipping, so it was like 20 under 25 for, again, a low grade copy of this. I still love this book, still like it. I think we just didn't get it at the most ideal price, and that's kind of what eats at me. I didn't mind that this was a low grade book. I was hoping it would be a mid grade book. So I was hoping to get, again, a good deal on a mid grade book. What we ended up was paying a little bit more for a low grade book. And that's the disappointing part. It's like, not that it's a low grade, but that I paid probably more than I should have. This next book, I am very happy I picked up. And it was a really sorry looking copy when I picked it up. But with the help of Metarog, Roger, one of my favorite community members, shout out to you, my friend. Congratulations on your anniversary, by the way. Hope you and your beautiful wife had a wonderful time. But this was one of the books Roger pressed, cleaned, and did some like surgical like repair work here. So there was a big tape. There's a tape on this tear, really not looking good at all. But he was able to like chemically treat the tape and pull it off without any damage to the book. And then he ended up just taping the inside part. So it looks really like it's so much improved than what it was before. Now it does have chipping on the bottom there, but overall I think it looks decent. I mean, I've seen worse copies, is what I'm trying to say. So it's a really, I think it presents really well. And again, I would put this in the 2.0 range as well because of the chipping and all the. I think might have been a pop staple or like a detached staple there at the bottom. But overall, I mean, it looks great. What's up, Alex Big Blue? Thanks for joining, man. Taku, Joe, K-pop, Vic, yeah. Oh, Vic's in the house. What's up, Vic? Didn't see you there. So yeah, thanks for joining, guys. And again, this is a hot book right now. I haven't seen the Guardians of the Galaxy movie, but I had an inkling that it would be good. Not just because of James Gunn, but from the scenes I watched, it looked good. And apparently the story is focusing on Rocket. Rocket's sort of the Gunn basically said, this entire trilogy was focused on this character, and it all comes to sort of fruition in the last movement. And that's great. That's great. And I kind of did pick up this book just because it's a key book and all that, but I really I just think it's a great cover. It's obviously a big key because of that character, so just really happy to have it. Now apparently, yeah, Rocket is the leader of the Guardians now, which is, I think, how it was in the comics, right? I don't know if Star-Lord was necessarily a big part of the Guardians, but anyway, they have Rocket running the show, and that should be good enough to keep the character relevant for some time. All right, so now we're going to get into. Let me just preface it by saying most of my Neil Adams stuff, which the Neil Adams collection has grown. It's grown. In fact, I might do a video on how much it's grown soon. It's gotten to a point where it's like significant enough. I would say in terms of my artist collections, Jim Lee's the biggest. It's over 200 books, and then John Byrne is probably the next most prominent, and then Neil Adams and Beach Momoko, they're kind of wrangling for third. And I didn't want to. So again, most of my Neil Adams stuff is mid to low grade. So I didn't want to kind of like bring out the entire collection to show you. I just picked out the ones that I know are low grade and at the same time are favorites in the collection. So we'll go from there. Now this is a book that is low grade, but you know how like it really the grade like my connection to this book has nothing to do with the grade. It looks fabulous in my opinion, and it's really satisfied the need to not have to get this in a better grade. Like it's a low grade copy in my collection that I love this book. I would love to have it in high grade, but you know what I mean? It's like, it's good enough to where I don't feel I have to go out and get it again. It's just one of those things. I'm happy to have just this copy as a representative copy of this. That is Superman 243. A classic Neil Adams cover there. And this is another book. We had Roger clean and press, and man, did he do a beautiful job, because there was this like perforation along the crease that was really like just not nice to look at, and he kind of smoothed pretty much all of it out. Now they're just color breaking creases along the entire that run along the entire length of the book. You can see it right there, right? There's a lot of creasing there. But for the most part, again, it's complete. There aren't any rips. There's a little bit of like flaking of the ink or something there, or some kind of pull, maybe tape pull there, but not significant enough to really affect the image. And so I think like from afar, right, it looks spectacular. Just when you get really close, you start to see some of the defects. But I mean, this is a 2.0, maybe a 2.5. Yeah, I'd say it's a 2.0. Well, 2.5. It's just really creasing that's affecting the book. So 2 to 2.5 copy. But I love it. I love it. It's one of my favorite books. Now, I can pick this up in a higher grade and not pay, I'm talking about like, I can probably pick up a 4.0 copy and not pay, a large amount. That's something we may still do, because I do like this book, to where we'd want it, maybe a nicer copy. But that's what I mean by unmyeong, right? I'm not going to go out and get it, but if it comes to me in some manner of speaking, hey, don't fight the unmyeong, is what I say. All right, guys, I'm having fun in the chat. All right, so that's one. We got some more Neil Adams books. just a little, I guess, background. Whenever I go to half price books, I do look in they have things that are legitimately half price. But for the books that are older, where if it's under $1 and you half that, so for like a 75-cent book, half price books doesn't want to sell you that book for 30 some cents. So what they'll do is they will actually price it. They'll price it like $1 or $2. And then they have some of the more key books locked up with that are higher priced. They have actually price tags, or they're kind of priced out according to book value. I never really look at those books because I'm not going to pay $25 for like a mid-grade copy of something that the guy thinks is a key book. So it's always a rip-off in those bargain bins. Now, where that change, I still look through it, because what we're looking for is Neil Adams books, not key books, but things that are priced, just because they don't want to sell something half of 12 cents or half of 25 cents. So in those instances, you'll often see like Superman Action Comics. You'll see it priced in like the $2 to $5 range for the bronze, some of the Silver Age stuff. And that's what I'm on the lookout for. And we're always kind of checking to see if there are any Neil Adams books in the $2 to $5 range. And we find that oftentimes. I think I picked up, I'll have to go back to the video, and I don't recall. I think I ended up paying like, I want to say $2 for this copy. It's not over $5. It's like $2 to $3 for this copy. It's a beat up copy, but it's a Neil Adams Batman. Again, I'll put this at like a 2.0 copy. It's in need of a press. It's got the date stamp on there. Just a lot of creasing associated with it. So with the press, it actually looked a lot better. There's a little bit of like fading, or I should say like kind of some kind of pull, like a tape puller there at the top. So maybe lower than 2, maybe a 1.8 or something like along those lines. But love it. Again, anything Neil Adams low grade is better than no grade, and I cherish low grade to high grade to mid grade. Anything Neil Adams, we will want to pick up. This one's a little bit better, but I'd still say it's in like maybe the 3.5 range. There's some staining here that you can't really tell because of the way the cover. There's some staining here, but you can't really, again, the way it's laid out, can't really see it, or unless you look real close, like there, you can really see it there now. Just like right around here, you can see the staining. Beautiful Superman cover, right? Neil Adams. Again, I think I paid a little bit more for this one. I think $5 is what I paid for this, but don't mind at all. That's where I put the value of his books. Jeff at Ancient Comics sold me this one for $3, and it's really ragged. I think the staples might have popped. The spine is really bad, but overall, like, it's just some minor creasing. It doesn't look that bad. That's a Justice League 66 Neil Adams cover. Beautiful Neil Adams cover. We don't stand a chance against the dirty half dozen. So cheesy. Thank you, Miss So. Um, yeah, again, $3. This to me is like a gem of a find for $3. Um, and this next book is a book Roger pressed for me. This is another book where I this is another book where I kind of have a little bit of remorse picking up. Not too much remorse, but just a little bit, because we got this book. We kind of knew what the issues were, and we ended up paying $15 plus shipping. In fact, I think I paid. I paid about $20 total, maybe a little less, maybe $18 total for this book. Um, and it's a low grade copy, because just again, there's like some spine issues. I mean, but Roger really improved it so much. But there's just some flaking here, a little bit corner is really ragged here, just a little staining on the front and the back of the book. But there was this rippling in the book that really was just not pleasant to look at all. So, but the frustrating thing, so that didn't bother me. I knew I was getting something in the low grade, but that presented really well. And for me, like, just having the book was more important. But what was frustrating was when I got this book, another book popped up on Mercari. The same book popped up on Mercari for 25 plus shipping, and a much way better like condition of book. This is low grade. That $25 book was it was definitely mid grade for sure. It might have even been like a 7.5, which would have put it in the high grade category. So again, for a couple dollars more to have like a way better quality, I was kind of like, ah. I mean, I'm still looking. I still have that book. It's still available. I could pick it up, and I'm tempted to. I'm tempted to pick it up because, again, this is just one of my favorite covers by me by Neil. It's a wraparound. Um, yeah, it's a great book. So yeah, when I saw that, it's kind of like, I got this book already, but kind of like had I waited, we definitely probably picked up the other copy. But again, Roger did such a great job on this book. It looks fabulous. It looks fabulous. And so when I got it back from Roger, I felt way better about having made the purchase, because I do feel like this is presents like a mid grade book, even though it isn't. It presents like it, and definitely looks great. So happy with that. All right, so this next book, um, hey, what's happening? Nowhere. How you guys doing? This next book, so Roger and we've kind of agreed to check in and have book. He said he's agreed to like press more books down the road. So I kind of already have things I'm wanting him to press and improve for me, this is definitely one of the books that I want to submit to him. And that is this great copy of Superman 207. Look at that. So another Neil Adams cover here. What's up, fanboy? How you doing, man? I still have yet to watch your haul video. I'm gonna get around to doing that. Um, so yeah, if you're joining, I'm just going over the best low grade books in my collection. Things that I have no intention of parting with. These are here to stay in the collection. Even if I do pick up better copies, these aren't going anywhere necessarily unless I can sell them or trade for them. And that's assuming I have again a better copy in the collection that allows me. But again, having this affords me the luxury of not having to go out and looking for it in high grade, right? Or even have a need to pick up another copy of the book. If it somehow ends up where I get it for a good price or in a better grade, that's fine. But again, we're not trying to. And again, if I ever submit, if Roger's generous enough to take more books to improve for me, this is definitely among the candidates that I want to send to him. Again, book looks great. There's not much creasing. There's just a little bit of a rippling here along the book, so it would just really stand to improve from a nice press and look really, really fabulous. So I would say, as is, it's a solid low grade 3.5 copy, but with the press would, elevate it into the mid grade category. So this potential for mid grade upgrade, if Roger is able to press that book for me. All right. I guess we're down to our last two books, and this next book is a book I picked up from Half Price Books. I think we paid something like, I want to say like $5 maybe for this, $4 to $5 for this, somewhere around there. And it actually looks better than the grade is, because if I show it to you like this, you'll think, oh yeah, that looks like a 3.5 or somewhere along those lines, right? It doesn't look so bad. It's a beautiful Neil Adams cover, the Flash Superman race. I think this is the best cover of the races. I know there's like a lot. I know there's 8 races or something like that. And I think the first one was a Carmine Infantino cover. The second one was it? It was the Flash artist on the second one. I'm forgetting his name. And then this is the third. But anyway, great Neil Adams cover. But there is a big issue with this book. And that's if you look here, right here, there's actually a big tear. So you you can flip the spine up and kind of bring this page here, that tear. There's a tear here and sort of a tear there as well. So, again, you just look at it, it looks great. You try to read it and open it up, that major flaw is real. So this is definitely kind of like in the ones, um, maybe like a 1.5. Yeah, I put in the 1.5 arena, and maybe, yeah, 1 to 1.5 for this book. But again, it presents really, really well, but given that damage. Okay, this next book is probably the. I mean, it's the only. Is that right? It's the only Golden Age book I have. But awesome. I hope you're having a great week, man. um, this one I also found at not my local, the one local to my neighborhood, but went that was in Seattle. So I'm actually going to the Seattle Half Price Books tomorrow, just to look at what they have. Not that I have like $6 to my name right now. So just kind of looking at what I have, what they have. If you can pick something up in the $6 range, it's cool. But again, I regularly check to make sure I'm not leaving something huge, because they do update that inventory weekly. So I just want to make sure I'm on. And I'm not that I go to the Seattle shop all the time, but it's been a while since I've been there. So I just kind of want to see what news has come in and make sure I'm not missing anything. But anyway, at the Seattle Half Price Books, this book, the guy just he kind of threw it into the 50-cent bin, which is in the bottom. And I thought, wait, what's that? That looks like a very expensive. I mean, it was shot to all hell. It wasn't even in a bag or board or anything. It was just laid out raw in the 50-cent bin. So I kind of went over there. There was another guy, like just on the floor looking through books, an older gentleman. He saw it as well, but I beat him to it, and I'm so glad I did, because we're able to pick up a Wally Wood Weird Science number 10. Okay. Golden Age book is my only Golden Age book. Presents beautifully. In fact, if you like open up the cover, you'd be surprised at how like well preserved the interior of this book is. It's like looks absolutely gorgeous. Now the cover here, it's as good as it looks. It's actually got quite a bit of issues. It's got, so first of all, it had the sticker on there. It had the 50-cent sticker, and as hard as we tried to like blow dry it and get it off cleanly, a chunk of that sticker got taken off. Luckily, it's in the white part, so it's not that noticeable, but it is what it is. So that was annoying, getting that sticker off. But for the most part, outside of that like thing and the chipping here, you'll see chipping here, here, and here in the corner. Aside from that, chipping presents really well. And I would put this in probably the 1.8, just under 2 category, maybe a 1.8. Yeah, between 1.5 and 2, in that range. And just absolutely beautiful. Now, low grade, it's not going to be worth a whole lot. I think I could probably still sell this book and get a good price for it, like $150 to $200 for this book. But I don't want to do that. I think this is a great example of Lim Young book, right? Had I gotten to the store 30 seconds late, had I gotten to the store at all, because I almost didn't. I was planning to go to Mill Geek Comics, but I thought, you know what? Kind of had that notion. Let's see what this Half Price Books has. I haven't been here in a while. Let's go see. And that was kind of out of a whim. Yeah, out of a whim, because didn't have to go that visit there at all. Hey, what's up, guys? Thanks for joining, Damien. How you doing? Weird Science. So this is a great question. This was it's a pre-code book, and Weird Science came out. I want to say it ran maybe 20 issues or so before it got shut down. So it was right around the time of the congressional hearings that eventually led to, these books being censored for the most part. And I don't think Weird Science was. They might have had a few books in the list of, like, in the hearings. They had a presented a list of books that they used as evidence or exemplified sort of the non kid friendly, family friendly content that these books were, like. So it was a big look at how do we regulate this content so that it's not traumatizing kids. Right? I mean, they weren't really targeted at children. Well, I mean, that's not true. They were targeting kids, but I guess it's a good thing. I wouldn't want my son to see some of those covers on those books, because they're pretty violent and I mean, but censorship as a whole is a horrible thing. So anyway, the interesting thing about that was it pretty much, after the hearings, EC Comics, the ownership had changed from father to son, and so the son was like kind of like in this limbo of like, okay, most of our books are just like, we have to change the tenor of these books. And we're talking about like horror books, crime books, like all these things are now like banned pretty much. Science fiction, I guess, was a little bit of a, but they were the federal government was really kind of targeting EC Comics, and EC Comics at that time just made it a huge transition. They said, we're going to go into like, they started Mad Magazine. They're like, we're going to do more Mad Magazine stuff, sort of like humor, satirical kind of like, I guess more in line with the audience, the older audiences, but a complete shift, and so as EC Comics kind of faded out, they transitioned into a different arena. And yeah, so I mean, Damien would probably know more about this than I. I do too. I like the. I think EC Sci-Fi does not get the the credit it deserves in terms of like pre-code horror is pretty much what all the collectors want. That's where the big spike in the values during the boom focused on. But I agree with you, Damien. I think the sci-fi stuff is more probably more culturally relevant um, because it was still like that was sort of its real um, growth period, right? Sci-fi, like pre going to the lunar landing kind of stuff that was coming out in the 50s, 40s, and 50s. That was a real sort of heyday for science fiction, the genre. So I think, yeah, for me, this kind of like image, right, on some kind of extraterrestrial environment and all that, it's really really cool. Um, don't ban books, yes, yeah. I mean, like horror, it's always been part of our culture and stuff throughout the centuries, right? Just uh, horrors just has a longer history with in the human imagination, but like this is science fiction. This is essentially the storyline for Aliens. This is, I think I read an interview somewhere that where you know Rid, uh, Ridley Scott, right? Ridley Scott drew upon a lot of sources, and I think he cited this book, this story, the story in this book is what kind of prompted the um, it prompted the screenplay for Aliens, or Alien, I should say Alien, but it's like basically this they find this alien on the surface and it kind of pops out of this like um, I think it goes as far as like infecting the humans that find it. So anyway, that's the kind of thing like this is really the source material for a lot of the modern science fiction that we like and enjoy to this day, right? Um, I'm making stuff up. No, I'm being serious, Joe. Right? Um, yeah, we all love the aliens. Um, so there you go. Those are the best low grade books in my collection. I will continue to pick up low grade books. In fact, like I at my last the MLC Comic Con, I was picking up a lot of the Neil Adams Silver Age stuff in like mid to low grade, for like $2 a piece, and I was like, I can do this all day. Give me that all day, all night. So we'll continue to do that. For me, like having the Neil Adams books is more important than like having them in high grade. I mean, I'd love to have them in high grade. It's just I don't want to pay more and then have less options to pick up. There are a lot of books out there, as all of you know. So you really got to be like, this is what I want. This is what I got to be focused on. And anything outside of that is kind of like, I don't know, just it's sort of a distraction. So high grade mid grade, low grade, whatever kind of um, facilitates the process of picking up these books is the strategy. So now I will say this, uh, given that I'll get to a point where I have a lot of the books, and a lot of the books will be in low grade. And then at some point, I know that part of me is going to look at it and say, you know what, I want this in higher grade. And then we're going to do that whole exercise over again where I'm replacing the low grade books with high grade at some point. And so I could really do myself a favor right now to realize that may happen, and that probably will happen, and just focus on the higher grade books. But right now, not not even thinking about doing that. So low grade is fine by me. All right, Rider of Alien. Mylar does help. It does make it look a little bit. I don't have again. Mylar's a little bit of a luxury there too. Hopefully, I can pick up some Mylar at some point. But um, yeah, bags and boards, it works. But thank you so much for hanging out with me, guys. Again, I hope that update is a little bit exciting. Um, I redid the calibration, the calculation on what I can spend this summer. It's closer to $2,000 than I think what I originally estimated, which was like $3,500. So it's going to be closer to 2,000 than 35. And on top of the 400 that I have for my wife for the budget, this part-time work is again going to bring us about $2,000. Going to be working pretty much the weekends now as well on top of my regular full-time job. So it's going to be a busy month. We're going to be working and picking up again, getting some extra cash that we're gonna blow on books. Okay, and I know having the lower expected budget, again, 4,000 is what we were expecting, to adjust that to 2,400 in terms of actual money we have. I mean, that's a big drop off, right? It's like it's about $1,500 drop off. So that's that would have been a big book that we could have got. $1,500. That could have been a big book, but that's pretty much out the window now. But that doesn't mean the planning and we still got $2,400. Nothing to sneeze at, and you can still pick up a lot of stuff. I do know that Rose City Comic Con, we want to at least have $1,000 to spend there to have a good time. So we're really looking at like $1,400 for the summer, which is more than enough. I just think it limits us to what we can pick up in terms of big books again. And so we'll just have to recalibrate. I think a good plan would be, again, just to focus on the books I really want. If we pick them up at lower than kind of the lower prices than what we have them in our heads, that's a victory. So hopefully I can find the books that I'm really targeting during my searches at LCSs and local areas. Hopefully can do that. If we can't, again, hopefully I'm hoping to run into them at Rose City Comic Con. And then if we don't run into them there, and if whatever we have left over, maybe we'll pick it up online. But that's something I want to avoid doing at all costs, to really pick stuff offline, because I just don't think you're not getting the best price online. You might be getting a good price, but you're not getting the best price you could get. And I find like face-to-face or in-person local deals are where you're going to get that, where you are going to find the value. So that's where we're kind of focused, and we'll do it that way. All right. Thank you, Miss So, for joining. Thank you, Damien. I think SummerCon is back on, Damien. I'm just going to have to check with my work schedule. But if I can take that weekend off, I think I can join you guys. So stay tuned. I think it's in play again. And something I would definitely want to do. I don't know if it's sold out. I don't think it's sold out. So I think tickets are still available. So we'll keep that option open. All right. Thanks, guys. Yeah. Thanks, Nowhere Bound. Hoping that all this planning does have something to show for at the end of the day. And glad you guys are following me on this journey. Just stay tuned. We are going to pick up books, so just be interesting to see what books we do pick up. So thanks again. Later. Peace out.